thank you guys for coming this afternoon. Susan was and still is an important part of our church family and your family. And we weren't ready for her to go. And sometimes you know people, their time's coming up, and sometimes you don't, and that shock, that hits us especially hard. But in these times when we come together, all of us who cared about her, all of us whose lives she impacted, then we can find strength together and find strength in the Lord, which is where she found her strength. Let's go before our God in prayer. Father God, we thank you for the privilege of being your children. We thank you that you have offered us forgiveness from sin and a life in you and a promise of eternal life when we part from this world. Lord, thank you for the hope and the confidence that we have in that, and that hope and the confidence that it gave Susan. God, we ask for your comfort as we mourn and we grieve, because it's not what we would desire that we would lose Susan. But God, we trust in your plan, and we ask that you would help us to continue on honoring her memory and her legacy of a life of love and faithfulness. We pray this in your Son's name. Amen. You know, Paul wrote in 1 Thessalonians about mourning people who pass. And he said, for those of us who have the hope in Christ, we don't mourn the same way. These are his words in this letter to the church in Thessalonica. But we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do, who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, though Jesus, God will bring, or through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by a word from the Lord, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the voice of an archangel, and with the sound of the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. And then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will always be with the Lord. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. And Susan believed and had hope because Jesus died and rose again. Her faith that we share, is the faith that gives us hope. But that doesn't mean that we don't mourn. I don't know if you remember Jesus, and he had his dear friend Lazarus, and Lazarus died. Jesus had, being God, had the power to change that. And in fact, he had a plan to change that. In the story of Lazarus, Jesus actually showed up and raised Lazarus from the dead, and Lazarus kept on living. That would be nice to have, but we don't have that power, right? Jesus, being God, could do that. And yet, when he showed up, and Lazarus was dead, and he knew his plan, he still, in John 11:35, that verse known as the shortest verse in the Bible, it says Jesus wept. He was so moved by the sorrow of all of those who had lost Lazarus. And he was so moved by the pain of going on without him, even though he knew he would see him again very soon in that case. Jesus, God, was still moved to the point of tears in that sorrow and in that grief. So when we talk about not mourning like those who have no hope, it's not that we don't cry or feel the loss or the pain. But we have a promise that we cling to, that we hold on to. That for all of us who have, like Susan, believed in Jesus' death and resurrection, we will have new life with her. In Revelation, John got a glimpse of what that new life will be. In chapter 21, John described the new heaven and the new earth, and he said, I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more. For the former things have passed away. And he said, who is seated on the throne. Behold, I am making all things new. Also he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. I don't know about you, but that's something I look forward to. Even in my relatively young age, I wake up in the morning and I feel pain, or I have achy joints. And yeah, the seniors at the senior center where I work, we share stories because we all feel old in the body. And Susan experienced some of that, the aches and the pains and the struggles and of just this life. But where she is now, the confidence that we have from God's word is that she is with the Lord even today. And those aches and pains aren't a problem for her anymore. And so we celebrate, we rejoice for her that she is in that place that we all would hope to be. And but we hurt for ourselves that we're left here without her. Some of the family wrote some things, some memories and thoughts about Susan. So I'll read this one first from Diane Speakman, Susan's adopted mother. She says, Susan was born on September 11th, 1960. She has 3 children, Stephen, Sophia, and Samuel, and 3 grandchildren. We called her our Sunshine and named her that after a visit where she spent a week at our home. Every morning, she was a ray of sunshine and made each day special with her love and caring. Although her last years were full of injury and illness, she managed to always bring her positive attitude and love for the Lord to the front. As her adopted mom, I hate the stepmother title, she was my dear friend as well, and we spent many hours on the phone sharing, especially about what God was doing in our lives. We spoke at least once a week and sometimes twice, and our conversations were always full of love and about family and all the activities involved with each life. I will never enter my home and not look for a call from her on our answering machine. She called me the Saturday before Mother's Day to wish me a greeting, and I played on the piano the special I had done for the service. She knew and loved the song called Give Thanks. I'm not sure whether I will be able to play it again without remembering how special that day was to me. And from Susan's father, he writes, and as her father, I have the wonderful memories of her in the arms of her daddy, but now we rejoice because she is in the arms of her Father, her Heavenly Father. Susan's younger sister, Polly, wrote, family was so important to Susan, and she made every effort to visit us, even though it was very difficult for her to do so without a car. She always found a way. In fact, in the last couple of years, she found a way to make it to Arizona to visit our parents and to the East Bay as a surprise for my birthday, where she presented each of us with a handmade gift. She had a very generous, thoughtful, and loving heart. I have a vivid memory of her at my birthday. Big hugs. She was a hugger. Her friendly voice, her laughter, and her big smile. Actually, I can't remember her never not smiling. She was always very positive in her approach to life. Nothing could really get her down. She was the best example of a person who always saw the glass as half full. I never heard her complain, even though she had more than her fair share of trials in life. I think that's what made her sunny disposition even more amazing. She began serving the Lord many, many, many years ago, and I recall her life-changing trip to Russia that seemed to be a real turning point in her walk. She had no problem saying the name of Jesus out loud while sharing her faith with others. She knew how to be bold with a lot of grace sprinkled on top. I'll miss not having the chance to talk to her again on this earth, but take comfort in knowing that angels were there to guide and welcome her to her true and everlasting home. And then we have one more from Ryan, her younger brother, who says, when I was young, I knew that I had 4 siblings, 4 older siblings, Jeff, Mike, Dawn, and Susan, but only the first 3 lived with us. Susan didn't. She was raised by her biological mother and grandmother. I really didn't understand why at the time. I just knew that every so often, my sister Susan would come to stay with us for a week, or maybe several weeks at a time. I was always happy to see her. We always had a great time with her, and I was always sad when she went away again. I'm very happy that in our adult years we were able to fully connect, and Susan has always been a very much loved member of our family, especially in recent years. Although we lived in separate states, we were able to spend a decent amount of time together, and we talked on the phone and on Facebook, etc. often. I loved and love my sister Susan very much. The thing that makes me happiest is how serious Susan was about her walk with God, and how devoted she was to her church. She was a true Christian in every way. I was so impressed that she even traveled to Russia to do missions work. I've been there myself several times. I'm also glad that although my sister has passed on, her kids and grandkids are here to carry on her life and legacy. I don't feel that I've had the chance to be very close to Steve, Sophia, and Sam, but I love them very much. And I hope that we all stay in touch. That will make Susan, who's watching us all from heaven, happy. I'm also so very thankful to Susan's church, her pastor, and her church family. Thank you for being Susan's family there in Red Bluff. God bless you all. And then we have one more. Rita was going to come up and share it from Aaron.
Aaron is Ryan Speakman's twin brother, and they, of course, are Susan's younger brothers. I didn't receive this until 9:30 last night, so, and I condensed it a little bit. This is from Susan's little brother, Aaron. Here is my letter to my sister. Dear Susan, Ryan, your other little brother, my twin, called me on an afternoon to tell me you'd slipped away suddenly, unexpectedly. I was teaching at the time and had to keep my composure, but even before he told me, I could tell something was wrong. I could tell someone close to us, someone in the immediate family, had died. I leapt to the obvious conclusion that it was Dawn, our sister who's been sick for a long time, or Dad, who's strong but 84. But no, Ryan told me it was you. When he told me, I allowed myself a few seconds to turn away from my students, let myself tear up, squint the tears out of my eyes, pull myself together and turn back to my class again. When the kids were busy, I texted Kelly, my wife. I called her on the drive home, let myself cry a little. Then I called Ryan and cried a lot. I thought I'd have more time with her, I said to him. I thought I'd have more time with you, Susan. Do you remember coming to stay with us for 3 weeks when Ryan and I were 4? Was it Christmas? Did we ever even have a Christmas together? I don't remember anything about the visit, at least not consciously, but I know I always felt 100% that you were my sister, and I loved you fully and completely like that. I would see your pictures, and you looked like Jeff, our brother, and Dad, and like Grandma Speakman, but sadder than all of us, and sweeter and more fragile. Ryan and I didn't really think a lot about why you weren't with us, weren't living with your own dad and mom and all our siblings, or why you were being raised by our Grandma Klein. But then, kids as young as Ryan and I were then don't think about the why of anything. It's all just the way the world is. We didn't question it. Then when we were 15, we started seeing you again. You'd grown up. You'd married, but he was exploited. And you were every bit as fragile as we thought from seeing your pictures, even more so. It's been an absolute testament to me about the genuineness of your walk with God and the restorative, miraculous, transformative power of Jesus Christ, that you've been so completely well these past many years, and all put together and healthy and happy and free. Sure, I've heard from Mom and Dad that you've still struggled in some ways, but who among us doesn't? No, you've been strong and put together again by our Lord Jesus Christ. You're a testament. We've been wiser in these later years, haven't we? Making more time to be together, going out of our ways to have reunions, and Heather's graduation in Sonoma, in San Francisco, and of course when you met Chelsea and me in Redding to be at Dawn's hospital bedside. Dawn never knew any of us were there, not till after we'd all gone home. But I was so immensely, enormously grateful to have gotten to be with my niece Chelsea and with my big sister Susan. Even though we grew up far apart, there was another miracle of you. The way you always, without fail, and without any hesitation or compromise, made Ryan and me feel like you were our big sister and like we were your little brothers. As if we'd never lived apart, hadn't grown up apart, had grown up all together. I'm thankful to God that in our adult years we were all able to say those things to one another. You, me, Ryan, Polly, even Dawn sometimes. Thankful to God that I got to tell you how much I love you and that you're my big sister. I thought I would have more time, that I'd have the time to tell you again and again and again. Love, Erin.
So we wanted to give any of you a chance to share a brief story of how Susan may have touched your life or encouraged or inspired you. You are welcome to stay right where you are, and I will walk to you if you want to share that. But we'll try to use my little microphone so that the camera in the back can pick it up for family who aren't here. Am I still on this? Yeah. The most recent, I think, experience for me was the Operation Christmas Child, the shoebox ministry. They pack gifts into school supplies and toys and things into shoeboxes and send them around the world to kids who don't have Christmas presents. And Susan she wasn't wealthy, but that was something she made a priority. She made it a priority to set aside some money to be able to care for these kids. And she did it. Lens, I'm ringing a little bit. Can you turn it down? Sorry. She did it with my kids. She joined us. We went shopping together, and she wanted to come along and do it together. And when she went through the store, she grabbed my kids' hand and took them along and explained to them and helped them pick things out. And whenever they talked about Susan, it was Susan's the lady that went shopping with us to buy gifts for the kids. And as soon as we said her name, even in discussing of Lydia, my daughter, Susan Bennett passed away. And she said, Susan, that's my friend who went and shopped to buy the shoebox presents with me. And she began to cry as we all felt sad. And so just the way that she could be an adult and encourage us as adults, but she still had that tender heart and love that she could be an example to my children and an example that they'll keep with them. Do you have any stories of ways that she's touched your life?
I was trying to find something from Susan's Facebook page because then I could see a little bit more about her. And there was one post where she was talking about another financial setback. And at the end of that post, she said, but I have faith. God will provide. And that's something that Susan said over and over again.
I just wanted to share two things about Susie. My name is Debbie Dean, and I was part of a Bible study with Susan. And she would always say, oh, you just know so much. And but I learned so much from her, and just the way she loved people, and the way she was able to cut to the heart of the gospel. Sometimes we'd be discussing something, and someone else would ask a question, and she'd jump right in and explain it, and I'd just sit back and say, yeah, what she said. And it tickles me to know that she's in heaven, and she's with Jesus, and all those things that we weren't quite sure about in Bible study, she knows the answer to, and I'm still waiting to find out. And that tickles me to death to know that she knows. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that every time I saw Susan, and I'd say, how are you? The first thing she would tell me how her kids were doing. She was so proud of you guys. And she would just beam whenever she talked about you. And she was always excited. Oh, Sam is getting so big and so tall and so handsome. And he's doing so well, and he's working at this place or that place. And she was just always excited. And I cannot tell you how excited she was when she found out about the baby. She was so excited. And those are the things that I will always remember and treasure about Sam.
You want to tell us the story, Jenny?
I would like to, but I don't know if you hear me.
Oh, won't hear you.
Yeah.
You might not hear it.
I have known Susan years and years ago when we were over there at the other church, when this fellow here, he was a tiny little baby. I remember him very well, and I recognized him today, but haven't seen him for a long time. But I want you to know that I just love Susan. She was a very dear friend to me, always so pleasant. Always thank you for everything, and hello Jenny, how are you today? And I said, do you have an hour to listen for my problems for today? So we just laughed about that, and just thought it was funny. But she did come to my home, as you know that I am not able to be around without my walker. That I have a hearing problem. It's vertigo. I have vertigo in my head. I don't have cancer, and I don't have anything catching or anything like that. So don't be afraid to shake my hand. And, but anyway, she came, I think, about 2 weeks ago, if it was not more. I see she's in September too. Mine is in September the 2nd. Hers is September the 11th. And then, she was 1960. I was 1916 when I was born. I was born 1916 back in New York. So, yeah. So, I just love Susan, and she stayed with me the whole day. She didn't have to do anything. We just had lunch together at my home, and we sat there and visited and talked over old times, and we had a very nice day. So I think maybe that would be, and I'm praying for her deeply. And I know that I say the Lord's going to bless her for the good that she has done. Okay? I just love her.
I've known Susan for a long time, and in these last couple of years, we've been in Bible study fellowship together. And last year, we did the book of Revelation, and we heard about the new heaven and the new earth, and the new Jerusalem, and the streets of gold, and the fact that there will be no sun or stars because Jesus and God will be the light, and just all those things. And this year we did the book of John, and we studied the passage that says, I go and prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back so that you can be where I am forever. And we weren't ready for her to go, but she was ready to be there. In the last 2 years, as I saw her grow, and her faith was a childlike faith. She radiated her love for Jesus, and I know that when I found out she passed away, the first picture in my mind was her smiling and just looking at awe of all the things that she's enjoying. No eye has seen, no ear has heard the things that God has prepared for us in heaven. And she now, her eye has seen and her ear has heard. We feel the sting of death, but she will never again feel the sting of death. And Jesus himself wiped away every tear from her eye. I'm just so thrilled that she is there, and I can't wait to join her someday when it's time.
2 days before Susan went and changed her residence to heaven, we had our ladies' tea here at church for India, and it was a fundraiser, as you know, and it was to raise money for our widows in India. And Susan enthusiastically participated, as those of you who are here remember, and she bought several small little items. And afterwards, she came up and talked to me quite seriously about wanting to sponsor one of the children in the kids' home in India. And we talked about it, and I think that that's a testimony to the compassion that she felt for those who had even less than she did in this life.
Any other stories? I'd like to share. We have a short slideshow that we will put on the screen here, and just shows a couple of pictures of families. Some of them are, the first about half of those are Susan at various stages in her life. Then the second half has some descriptions of the family members who she's with. And the song was one that Sam selected because Susan liked this song by Enya, right?
Where
finished the service today with song Amazing Grace, one of the hymns, that Susan appreciated, and I think all of us love who are saved by God's amazing grace. When we see our weaknesses, our sin, and what amazing grace it is that He would save us. Susan is experiencing the fullness of that now, and we rejoice and we hope because we'll be with her soon. So Laura and I are going to sing the first verse, and then we'll invite you to join us if you'd like. So the lyrics are on page, or hymn number 107. If you want to grab a hymnal from the pews to sing with us after verse 1.
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Twas grace.
'Twas grace that my heart to you, and grace my ears release. I shall sing that grace appear, the hour I first believed. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my heart secures. He will be my shield and portion me as long as life endures. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home.
Looking forward to those many thousands of years shining as the sun in the presence of our Lord with Susan. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you again for the joy that Susan was and continues to be to us in her memory. God, help us to imitate her, to follow in her steps of kindness, of childlike faith, of believing you and following you and loving the world with the love that you first showed us. God, we ask that we would encourage each other and that you would also provide us strength and your peace as we continue walking through this life, looking forward to making that final trip that Susan has now made to be with you forever. We love you, God, and we praise you in your Son's name.